Hello, everybody. I thought I'd just do a little quick stream of consciousness thing. I'm trying to populate, some of that stuff for the scare floor, and basically what I ran into an issue was where there was some curvature that was wrong when I was doing some part of the pencil here, and I was just kind of going through and fixing some of these things so that I could maintain some of that curvature or define it a little bit better. This is kind of a cheap and easy way of doing it, but just pulling those things out there and making sure that you have your transforms at the right place makes things a little bit easier for you. And so then I can keep that sharpened edge there. And then there's going to be some flattened artifact type stuff around here because of how it comes down in this area. There is a way around it. You can go ahead and connect these things and then dissolve this, which would give you more of a result. And that's why I don't like doing that, because that area of influence again. So we can go ahead and see if that changes things a little bit more, and then that flow goes just a little bit better. It kind of looks a little flat spotted there, and it's still flat spotted there. You can see a seam and stuff, but really for something like this, which is probably going to be in a cup holder or whatever like that, then it's not going to matter too much. This is going to be seen at about a distance, clear back there. Let me get rid of this thing so it's not in the way. So then from here, I think the best thing to do would be to see if I can make that into a circle or no. Yeah, not yet. Because we want that stuff in there. What just happened there? And then we'll just drag this up. And so dragging that up brings this whole thing up. Well, maybe. See where we are at this. Okay. Not quite sure what happened there. So then we have this, and then you get the shape going on like that. Seems like to be there's going to be a lot of geometry, but most of it's just defining these shapes down here. I did use some creasing on this. Like the last video that I did, I said that I didn't really do any creasing on things, and most of the time I don't, but for this type of asset it's going to work pretty well to give us those little parts where the the sharpener gets to and it rubs these little edges off. It looks okay from a distance. It's not perfect by any means, but it looks okay from a distance. And then we can keep it short. And I was just watching the movie the other day. My daughter wanted me to watch it, and there were some things in there that I kind of took note of on how they design some of this stuff. So I'm not really going to use a direct reference for any of this stuff, but what I am going to do is just kind of add on to it. So I'm going to add a mesh here. We'll probably do a cylinder with about 12 sides, and then move that up. And if I maintain the same scale all around on some of this stuff, then it's not going to really be a problem of getting it to the right dimensions when we get there. So let's just do the subdivision surface really quick here so that we can see what's going on. And I will go ahead and, I don't know, let's just take this and set this down so that we have at least an edge there to take a look at, and then I will get rid of that face because I want it to keep just so I can see what my overall scale is and where things need to be moved around. We'll fix all that stuff here in just a little bit. Maybe we can scale it down just a little bit. And maybe we'll scale it back up. And I'll take this. Bring that in there. Control edge there. Control edge there. Something there. Okay, that'll be where we hold the eraser part. And then I think we need to add some stuff right about there. You know, just for the ridges and stuff that show up around here. Like this. Bevel those out just a little bit more. And maybe I should have just done the shortcut and done 3. I wasn't really sure if I was going to just extrude these out and then come in. I think I will. Why not? Do that along the normals there. And then maybe scale it out just a little bit. So then we have the little ridges around the edge there. Let's go ahead and shade that smooth so we can see what's going on. And then I'm going to define some other areas here. This is going to be what I call the limiting loops. And this is going to be the oh, how can I say it? This is going to be actually these little spikes. Actually, they have like where our pencils are, where it connects this collar onto the pencil itself. There's usually holes in here, and it's like a perforation that gets put into the pencil on Monsters Inc. Of course, it's all Monsters type stuff. And so most of these are basically spikes. So we could go this and go about it in 2 different ways. One of them would be just to go ahead here. Why don't we just do that instead? Would be to try to make this just a little bit square around here like this. Okay, and then have them poke out of here. I changed my mind again. Maybe we'll just do this. What I thought about doing in the first place. And then we can create this type of stuff. And let me get into the bevel part here, because I'm pretty sure that my profile is all jacked up. So that looks pretty darn close to being round. The thing here, though, is that when we do it this way, basically what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to terminate these somewhere, and so this requires extra cuts to be done somewhere else, right? It could give you a good result. Some of these, though, as you'll notice, are actually indented. Let's see where that would be. I've been having problems with this indentation thing here. Yeah. So anyway, what we end up having to do is just like terminate all of these somewhere else, because you know this alone is not going to do the job that we want it to do. So we can go like this, and we can inset as individuals, and so then they're already terminated like this. And then let me remember the correct command here. So we poke our faces just like this, and let's see here. I'm gonna select similar. Yeah, that didn't work. I'll just go around like this a little bit. And then we'll change this to, one moment please, individual origins. And we'll scale along the, should be. So we'll just use Alt S to do that instead. Shrink, fatten stuff so that it goes all the way around. And then from here, we can see that there's a little bit of some spikiness going on there. But we might need just a little bit more to go along here just to make it really spiky. But then what I ended up doing is I ended up creating a bunch of triangles. So if that gets to be a problem, I am going to get this select similar down at some point in time. There we go. And then let's just do this. We'll just subdivide that. So everything is kind of connected a little bit better this way. And then navigating around and selecting is always helpful to get the right type of navigation going on, or the right type of edits down. Sorry. You can kind of go like that now. And then we have like a spiky pencil head. So at least that's what Mike was dealing with. Mike Wazowski was dealing with, had a little bit of spikes, maybe not so many, but you know. And then since we already have the shape of this part here, we can go ahead and make the eraser. And the eraser doesn't necessarily have to be subdivided. You know, I don't like using subdivisions all the time because, you know, you can get away with using a lot less geometry if you don't. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use it. So Shift D that thing right there, we'll separate that by the selection, and then we'll go back over here, we'll select that part, and then we'll go ahead and tab into that. So I select all these and I'll extrude it down this way, and then what I want to do then is to get that stuff here. We'll flip that around. Okay. And so we'll take this top part, we'll bring that up, and then I will scale this along here and along there, and we'll do that right about there. And then sometimes if I want to, you know, it's not going to make much of a difference right here. Oh, I already did that. I don't want to do that. If you want to, and like I said, it's not making much of a difference right here, but you can turn those top parts into quads. And so what that usually affords you then is a little bit less pinching in case you wanted to change some of the geometry up here. And it looks like I want to push some of this up just a little bit further, make it look like a little bit of a new eraser head. But it's not entirely necessary to get rid of this and keep everything quad, so it's kind of a misconception. As long as this is all flat, you know, can't all subdivision surfaces, and basically what we're using now is Open Subdiv. It's good with, you know, at least triangles to quads to n-gons and stuff, but there are certain use case scenarios. Does it really reduce some of this, some of the load on this? Maybe. I don't know. We can do it and show you what happens here, but this is like a what did I do? Did I do an odd number or did I do an even? I think I did an even. 12 of them. Alright, so if I get rid of those 6, then I just limited those to quads. What does that look like? It looks a little bit more, you know, pattern of better quadrification, if you want to think about it that way. And then I think we're done with this stuff. So basically, you know, since this is a cartoony type of thing, there are different ways of making holes and spikes and stuff like that. That first way that I was going to show you was doing things from the actual vertices themselves by beveling those and then going ahead and then pulling them out. But then you run into the problem of having to terminate those edges. But by using the square, we already have terminators in there, which it changes the flow up into here. And then we can adjust some of the sharpness and stuff. Don't think that you're like caught into anything that's bad by having a bunch of triangles. What we did is just use the subdivide command, and it just connects all those things together. That is another little trick that, you know, maybe some people don't really know. If we were to, well, let's just try to get something over here really quick. Oops. And if I were to, well, let's see here. And we'll go like this. Oh, it's not. For crying out loud. Okay, so I have a bunch of triangles here, but I want to get from here to here. There, some people will, I mean, there is a way that you can do this with just simple, is using the knife command and then constraining that along one axis, and then you can cut across all of them. The other thing is that you can go into this edge select mode. You can take this, and you can also subdivide, and it does the same thing. To varying degrees. So if you ever run across anything where you need to connect a triangle somewhere else, like up to here maybe, you can always run that subdivide there and then come over here and then join it up. You know, I just made another triangle, but the concept is there for you to use. If you want to bring this around like this, it's the same type of thing. Let's get rid of this thing really quick. So if I select these 3 and then I hit the subdivide, it's going to make, you know, pretty much, it's going to try to make this straight line through here. But then I can go back to here and join that stuff, and I can join this stuff. But it's just a quick and easy way to do that without actually having to come in here and running the knife command. And the knife command is very good, but when you constrain things, it's usually constrained to a straight line through whatever view you're in. So for right now, if I were to constrain this, it's going to constrain straight down like that. Okay? And what if I didn't want to do that? What if I wanted to do something else, like maybe come through here somehow? Sometimes the subdivide works a little bit better. You can sit up here and tell it to, you know, fixing that stuff isn't that hard, but it follows along the flow as well. See how you would always follow along the flow. And that sometimes just makes your workflow just a little bit easier, a little bit faster that way. Now, of course, you can take a look at this on curved surfaces and things like that, where you might run into a triangle, and your best way of getting through a lot of things, what I find is the best way to get through sometimes in certain situations. Let's see if I can just go ahead and do this. If I wanted to go up here, basically if I use Control R, I only get so far. See, I can only get to that point there, and then it runs into the triangle. Now it's a quad technically, okay, because it shares this vertex over here, but if I still want to maintain certain polyflow in areas and then rework the area, I will more than likely go through this, especially if I want to carry it through. Because with the knife, like I said, it goes along a certain viewpoint, perspective. a viewpoint. If I go like this and I use the knife and I cut through, of course it's going to go through all that stuff, but you're not always in a situation where this is in line with any type of plane. In that case, then that's when I just go ahead and use the subdivide, and then it helps me get all the way through that area, and I don't have to worry about all that other stuff about, you know, my perspective on the whole thing. And the other thing is that now I can go ahead and rework this, and maybe with a knife just for the heck of it, and come over here, you know, and just maybe eyeball that part, and then now I can go back in here and there's all the edges. Now I'm back to a quad, and so then that opens up more possibilities for going back across that way, you know. And so there are many other uses for subdivide other than sitting up here and one of the things that I use subdivide for quite a bit, and if people have seen this, is that we can use a subdivide here, and then we go up to the smoothness on here, and then I just shift R that again, and then we have something in which we can see a sphere. But unlike the UV sphere, let's bring that over here, and we do a subdivision surface. We go like this, and we can shade smooth. It may not be easy to see here, but see that puckering right there? That's what you get when you have all those triangles going together at the top. So it's very subtle right along there, but that pucker will always be there along the poles, and this one doesn't have any poles whatsoever. So the poles, since they're gone and everything is a quad, it makes a better looking sphere. Sometimes this method doesn't make the sphere a complete sphere, so then you can just run this command and to sphere and then hit 1, and you know, usually that kind of straightens everything out for you. But a lot of the times when I'm going to try to make a sphere or a hemispherical type of thing, I use this approach now as opposed to this approach, because it eliminates the puckering, and also because everything is quads. Certain cuts, loop cuts and things like that go through the entire geometry a little bit better than they do on this thing here. And if I want, then I can always make sure that I have enough divisions to make a flat area here, because then I can just take this and extrude it down, and then I have something that's a little bit more of a dome that follows a particular shape, which you can do here obviously. But like I said, if I'm putting cuts through things, look, there's not a part in here that I can't put a cut through, that it's not going to carry through the entire geometry. Whereas on this one, it's always going to stop at the triangles. It never carries all the way through, doesn't go all the way through as a loop unless you're going along this way, unless you're following the latitudinal lines of the object. That's the only time that you're ever going to get something that goes all the way around. But if it has to go up through these poles, it's not going to go through. And even if you have to go through something and delete every other one of these to make those quads, you're going to change the angle of it, and it's going to follow down each one of those in weird ways. It still will on this one a little bit, but it's more predictable of where it's going to go. So just a few little tips. And the other thing that this offers you a little bit more flexibility, kind of like the same way where we did the spikes over here. Sorry guys. How we did the spikes over here, you can kind of do the same thing over on this side. You can also do some weird shapes or weird things like, oh, I don't know, maybe we can flatten that out just a little bit and extrude up just a little bit, maybe extrude up a little bit more, kind of come out here and make some weird square pattern there. Even so, let's see. And of course, loop tools is one of my favorite tools ever. So you can even get something to conform into a more circular shape if you want to. And I can't remember if this works very well on consecutive types of loops. Let's see. Let's find out. Huh? Let me do one of those. And it does there. And so then you don't have the distortion that you might have in other places. Gotta turn the individual stuff off. So you have a cylinder that's going into a dome into another cylinder. It takes a little bit of work, but look at that. I already kind of have a little bottle working there for me. It doesn't take much, but to kind of do something cheap like this, quite possibly get in the illusion that there is a little mark there. So you can see that sometimes doing stuff like this, and I know I got off track, can get you some quicker results really cool. So I might even save that object to something else. But anyway, yeah, just a few little tips for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.